Okay, so y'all know that we all love things Doctor Who on this channel, and we love to talk about Doctor Who, but one thing that this channel really isn't is like a news outlet for Doctor Who. It's not very often that I'll dive in and make a video about news. I think I've done it like once in the past, if you're lucky, I think. Or I'll discuss it within an actual video that I've made that's discussing something about Doctor Who, and then the news relates to that. It's not very often that I'll actually just go outright and be like, hey, let's talk about some stuff about Doctor Who so that I can spoil everybody's fun. So I do watch these news videos, and there's a lot that I have been seeing over the last couple of months from loads of different places, like news outlets and stuff. And it's been bothering me because it seems to be that they are just relying heavily on these reshoots to imply that ᴍᴏ has went back and actually reshot his regeneration scenes without taking the bigger picture in at all. Like, seriously, like, there's so much more that could be going on here. Is it entirely possible that ᴍᴏ could have went back and filmed his regeneration scenes? 100%. No doctor's obligated to stay more than the seasons that they sign on for. So if season 3 has not been commissioned yet, that means that ᴍᴏ's not got a contract for season 3, which means he is not obliged to continue into season 3. Obviously, contingency plans are put into place, and Russell has to rewrite a script, and regenerations have to be filmed. It is entirely possible that that's what they were doing reshoots for. Another possibility to flip that on its head is it possible that ᴍᴏ had filmed his regeneration scenes and has now decided that he wants to stay on for another season, so they've had to go back and reshoot those scenes so that he doesn't regenerate? Like, this exact same thing happened with Jenna Louise Coleman, because they had already filmed her death scene or her exit scene from Doctor Who a full series before she decided to leave. Stephen Moffat had to go back and rewrite the script so that Jenna Coleman could stay on as Clara for another full season with Peter, and obviously that was sorted out before they had to do any reshoots, which was probably a good thing because back then it was BBC budget, doesn't really have the money for big massive reshoots. However, it is also possible that maybe Russell has decided that he's had to do some script changes himself. He wanted the lines to be different. This is something that ADR can't fix, so they would have to go back and refilm those full scenes because their lip movements wouldn't match up with the new words that Russell has put in the script. It's very possible that something in that episode or episodes that they've had to refilm has not worked. So when they've got the episode in to edit and they've went and cut it down and they've took parts out, added parts in, whatever, it's very, very possible that the storyline itself or something within the end or the start or the middle of that episode just wasn't working, and Russell's been like, no, we need to reshoot this, I need to re-edit the script, it needs fixed. It's very, very possible. Why is the only thing that people are focusing on when Doctor Who does reshoots is because it's a regeneration? Like, it literally could be so many different things. Like, no one's told us what the reshoots were actually for. They probably can't tell us what the reshoots were for because it could contain spoilers. It's entirely possible that ᴍᴏ's decided to leave. However, it's also entirely possible that maybe some visual effects weren't working because it wasn't shot correctly, or it just wasn't looking right because the angle wasn't right, so they've had to change the angle of the cameras so that everything looks good. There's like 1,000,001 reasons why they could potentially have had to go and refilm all these scenes. I mean, it's even possible that maybe, just maybe, there was some kind of audio malfunction and there was too much to refilm to use ADR. Like, do you know what I mean? Personally, I don't actually think there's going to be a regeneration scene at the end of season 2. I could be very, very wrong with that because it will be a surprise regeneration because no one really is expecting ᴍᴏ to leave. Most of the time when we get a Doctor, we expect them to stay for at least 3 seasons. That's kind of the running gag within Doctor Who. You get a Doctor and 9 times out of 10 they stay for 3 seasons, and that's something that ᴍᴏ already knows. And it's been said a lot, especially through the run of season 1, by Russell, by ᴍᴏ, that this Doctor is here to stay for a while longer. I think that potentially could be, like, it could be that Russell and ᴍᴏ have got a deal together because Russell's already said that he does want to stay on for seasons 3 to 5. It's very, very possible that ᴍᴏ's agreed to do the 3 seasons and then Russell will get a new Doctor for 4 and 5, or he'll maybe decide to stay on for 4 and 5. Just because he's decided to go do other projects doesn't mean that he's going to be going to regenerate. Because if you think about it, by the time Disney decide what the hell they want to do with Doctor Who, it's putting Russell on a major tight timeline, let's put it that way. So we're probably not going to get any Doctor Who in 2026, just with that timeline alone. So, and Ncuti knows, right, okay, so I'm not going to be doing the Doctor, so I'd be as well just taking on this other job to pass the time, and then I'll come back and do Doctor Who once it's recommissioned. Because the possibility here is that Doctor Who will get recommissioned. I don't see it getting cancelled. Maybe we'll get the reduced episode count, who knows, but I don't see the BBC completely putting it on hiatus. It still gets far too many viewers, it brings in too much money, and with the way that season 2 is going so far, there's a possibility it's going to bring back in viewers as well. So yeah, it's kind of just waiting on Disney to see where it goes. As I say, it's possible that it could be regeneration scenes, but usually you would know by this point if the Doctor's left or not. Like, if you think about it, we knew when David Tennant was leaving, we knew when Christopher Eccleston was leaving, we knew when Matt Smith was leaving, we knew when Peter Capaldi was leaving, and we also found out when Jodie Whittaker was leaving. Usually we find out this stuff a lot earlier than we're supposed to. Like, if Ncuti was regenerating in this season, I think we would probably already know about it. I don't think he's going to regenerate. I think it's going to be some other big twist, and that's what they're trying to keep secret, because if that big twist is ruined, then it's kind of going to ruin the season for everybody. That's kind of it. What are your thoughts? Do you think Ncuti going to leave at the end of season 2? In the reality war, do you think he's going to regenerate and it's going to be left open-ended? Or do you think we're going to actually get to see the 16th Doctor if he does regenerate?